Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Play EDH, the largest Discord server for finding online webcam EDH games, and we'll take a look at them a little bit later on. So, Benjamin P sent me this donation deck list, and it was kind of their first attempt at doing some Legacy deck building. And we're not going to be playing this deck today. And I'm going to talk about some deck building theory briefly, and then we're going to go into what I'm actually going to play. So the idea was that this was going to be an Infect deck that was built around using Tainted Strike. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains Infect until end of turn. And the idea was to play something very big and dumb, like a Rotting Regisaur or some Urza Saga Construct tokens, and then Tainted Strike them to get a very easy Infect kill. And the deck was also trying to use these things, just give your opponent's poison counter from our recent sets, as well as have a Helm of Obedience / Leyline of the Void / Dauthi Voidwalker problem. But when you start kind of looking at this deck list as a whole, it's very immediately apparent that this deck doesn't have real focus. It's not a very good artifact deck for the purposes of Urza Saga. It's not a very good Dark Ritual deck because there's a bunch of blue cards in here. And a huge portion of these lands don't actually go and cast a Dark Ritual. And the Tainted Strike basically only works with Rotting Regisaur. I mean, technically it works with Dauthi Voidwalker, but that's not the biggest chunk of Infect, which is really what you're trying to accomplish here. And ultimately, this was something that just from the get-go was trying to do too many things. It was trying to be an Infect deck, and a Dark Ritual deck, and an Urza Saga deck, and a Helm of Obedience deck, while having a whole bunch of different colored mana pips that would have been very hard on the mana base. So I messaged them and I was like, all right, what of this do you want me to sort of preserve? How do I take this in a direction to make it playable? And they wanted to keep Phyrexian Crusader, Prologue to Phyresis, and Vraska's Fall in the 75. So let's take a look at what I came up with. I decided to build this deck as a bug deck. The original version had Chrome Mox, and I think that mana acceleration is very necessary if you want to play Phyrexian Crusader in Legacy. Crusader as a turn 3 play is a little slow. It has a turn 2 play that's pretty reasonable. The whole reason we're playing this is for the protection colors. When you think about Legacy removal, you think about Swords to Plowshares, you think about Lightning Bolt, you think about Teferi, you think of Prismatic Ending, right? Phyrexian Crusader is going to be a difficult to kill threat that is very resilient. And so my goal here is to use cards like Ignoble Hierarch and Noble Hierarch to accelerate into that. And by going into Bug, we actually have a lot of creatures. We're going to get Glistener Elf, Blighted Agent, Phyrexian Crusader, and Honorary Infect, air quotes, creature, Inkmoth Nexus. And my goal here is to get in a couple of good hits, and then I can use things like Prologue to Phyresis and Vraska's Fall to finish my opponent off. While the original version had 4 copies of Vraska's Fall in the main deck, I just don't think that's super reasonable, especially if we're going to get rid of some of the Dark Rituals and Ancient Tombs that were in the original deck list to get a more reasonable mana base. But I do think that Vraska's Fall is a reasonable card to play in the 75. Is it mana efficient enough? No, probably not. But we're going to try. So, Infect is traditionally an 18 land deck plus like 3 or 4 hierarchs. I'm running a 5th hierarch to kind of make sure that I can more consistently get to these higher mana counts. And you'll notice that Berserk is missing from this deck list. This is going to take away some of the easiest Invigorate Berserk combo kills with Glistener Elf, but that's not really what this deck is trying to do, right? This deck is trying to be a little more resilient. And while we still can get those early Infect kills, we're okay settling in for a slightly longer game. The sideboard has a handful of sort of haymakers that are very targeted for matchups, and then more copies of Vraska's Fall. I did put in one copy of Cavernous Souls. I'm a little worried that I should actually be at like 19 lands, even after adding another Mana Dork, since I have so many Phyrexian Crusaders. But I wasn't really willing to go another land deeper in the main deck. But if I end up bringing in some things like Vraska's Fall, like I can go up another land, or I could go up Carpet of Flowers to kind of help with the mana situation as well. All right, with that being said, let's hop into the league and see if, sort of air quotes proliferating while drawing a card is good. Notably, things like Tezzeret's Gambit that have proliferated basically have seen zero play in Legacy, in fact, and close to zero play in Legacy more generally, outside of a couple of very niche situations. So let's see how this feels. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. Uh, that's a weird hand. I assume this is a mulligan. This is much better. I am going to keep this probably pitching the Brainstorm here. Probably pretty safe to assume that counter spells are just going to generically be good. Doesn't matter too much which spell I keep there, I don't think, because Force of Will is almost certainly going to be used as this game goes on. I'm hoping to hardcast a Daze some portion of the time. Ooh. Well, Crusaders are going to look nice a little bit later on. Sure. Go ahead and crash on in there. I don't think I used the Invigorate just yet. They don't fully know whether or not I need to protect from lightning bolts. Sure. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. That's uncounterable. Oh, my hand got bad. Okay. Let's go ahead and brainstorm. At this point, counterspells are going back. They've gotten significantly worse. Let's fetch for black here. Will I trade Invigorate and Glistener Elf for Caves of Chaos Adventure? Yeah, probably. Yeah. No blocks. I think at the point of no blocks, I do just go ahead and take the damage now. Alright, my opponent is up to 6 Infect. We can fight over the initiative. No basic land to search for. Drop an Inkmoth. Drop a Blighted Agent. I'm gonna take some damage here. My opponent is going to get to Forge first. I don't think I can use my Misty Rainforest. Margins are real tight here. It's scary if my opponent can play another creature. That's actually just annoying as a blocker. Alright. Blighted Agent puts my opponent to 7. I need Inkmoth Nexus to block Elite Spellbinder to stay alive. See if my opponent feels like they need to attack. Or sorry, if they need to block. They do not block. Take the initiative. I forge this one. And we'll see if we're still alive. 10 incoming damage. There's a mountain. I made Inkmoth. Block. Take 7. I am at 6. I am about to get trapped down to 1. Yep. You got. Oh, that's fine. Not be showing my opponent that. Let's see if I'm dead to a Solitude. Touch the Spirit Realm. Sure. Alright, I will concede. I don't have great tools for this matchup. I wish I was just traditional Infect that had more pump spells, but I'm not here. I have 3 things that are like removal spells, and I can board up another land if I want. They're not always going to have Cavern is kind of the thing here. Matchup's so fast, I'm not going to grind. I don't think I want those. I think I do these. I think if I go up one more of those, I do this. I don't think I'm going to mess around with Brazen Borrower. This is fine. There's a little bit of tension between wanting to fetch Tropical Island to cast both of these things and playing towards an eventual Phyrexian Crusader. But we don't have a Phyrexian Crusader right now. Alright. We are chilling. Just going to attack in normally here. I'm not going to intend on using vines to protect this creature. I'll just take my 1 infect damage and play out a Blighted Agent. Yeah, I'm going to let that occur. Solitude makes a whole lot harder. Absolutely not. Force that, pitching Brainstorm. They fetch land here. I think I just fire this up and go for the 2 now. And I don't have one of the hierarchs to kind of increment my damage. This all feels quite slow. Alright, fire up the Inkmoth. Attempt to send these on in. Alright, opponent is at 5 infect. That's fine. Second cavern is spooky. Now I can't as easily answer a solitude. I'm just gonna preemptively fetch here to make things less awkward in terms of timing. Grab an Underground Sea. Fire up Inkmoth. Send in my creatures. Yeah, that is a solitude. Is resolving. Gonna target Inkmoth Nexus. And then I will kick Vines of the Vastwood, and hopefully my opponent is dead. Okay, cool. Do that again. I liked that. As long as I hit more lands, this hand is acceptable. I have a Force of Will for the first thing my opponent does, pitching a Daze. I have removal, I have a pump spell that also serves as protection. I wish I had another land. But between my draw step and a Brainstorm, I can probably hit appropriate things. Yeah, I'm gonna let all this resolve and try to Force of Will the thing that matters. Cavern disrupts that, but ugh. Alice on 1. This Force of Will is not gonna have many targets for the rest of the game. I am going to go ahead and take that here. I will ponder immediately, looking for lands specifically. No. Yes. Although Trop is not working towards casting Phyrexian Crusader, which is kind of a problem. I have no outside, I have no basic lands in my deck. That sucks. GG. Today's video is sponsored by PlayEDH. You can find them at playedh.com, which will link to their Discord server, which is the largest Discord server for finding Commander/EDH webcam games. And what's really neat about them is that they will give you personalized ratings of your deck so you can pair with appropriate players. In addition, on May 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be doing a discussion on their Discord about like similarities between Legacy and EDH and deck building in the two. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern on May 3rd, I'm going to be doing a stream with them so you can see me in action. So consider checking them out. I think I keep this one. My Force of Will is awkward. I can't really use it unless I just absolutely have to slam the brakes on something my opponent is doing. But I probably get a sequence that looks something like play a Hierarch on turn 1, ponder for an infect creature on turn 2, and do something cool after that. Alright, how bad is this? Force of Will. Alright, so we're doing this again. Understood. I'm going to have a creature in play for the purposes of taking initiative. I'm kind of hoping my opponent was all in on that first creature. Alright. That's fine. They've named Glistener Elf. Absolutely. I think I just cast this right now. See what my next card is, because it helps me decide whether or not I want to play Ignoble Hierarch. Which I do. Bayou. Well, it doesn't need to be Bayou. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it Bayou, though. Play an Ignoble Hierarch. You may punch me for 3. I am not super worried. I want to block that and trade Invigorate for their only clock. Yes, I actually think I do. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and trade that, and I probably end up very far ahead for doing so. Yeah. Put back Bayou, Inkmoth, play Delta. Always yield to that. This chip damage doesn't mean a lot here. I'll get Underground Sea, grab Blighted Agent. It's going to be a relatively fast clock, and my opponent is pretty unlikely to cast spells for the rest of the game. Got that going for me. So ship in with Blighted Agent. We will actually just pay full price on a Blighted Agent hit here, and drop a Glistener Elf. Opponent is at 8 Infect. This is lethal Infect on the board. They kept an all-in hand where Seasoned Dungeoneer was supposed to get them to their next mana source, and it did not get them to their next mana source. I think I'm going to do the same as before, where I board 3 of these out for these 3 cards. Game on the draw is scary. It might be scary enough that I could consider playing, like, Force of Negation, and literally just force, like, a Chrome Box or something. Would I be willing to do that? This card is so slow in this matchup that I think I'm willing to do that. Yeah, absolutely keeping this hand. Hand is very good. Alright, my opponent tanked on their 5 for a long time before ultimately keeping. It looks like I am getting to start ahead. I think I just lead on mana acceleration here, rather than on the infect creature. Like, it means that I'm not attacking next turn. I think I let this go. Classic. That occurs. 2 more? 2 more. That is a 3 mana Glistener Elf. I think I will just play this Glistener Elf instead this turn. Actually, do I want to brainstorm now that Force of Will is not great? Let's do that. We have creatures. Force of Will. Force of Will. Do this. This needs to get something that is black. Ground Sea is fine. I just play the unblockable Blighted Agent. So now I just have Invigorate, Exalted, 10 damage next turn. That is if I am willing to go for it. If my opponent doesn't make any... Okay. The Solitude could happen. Human? Okay, they've just tapped poorly. Yeah, that's fine. Another Ignoble Hierarch. Ponder. Inkmoth Nexus is very, very good. Take that. Play it. Drop a new Ignoble Hierarch. Drop a Glistener Elf. My opponent's attacks now become very risky. Unless they draw another Solitude or Swords of Plowshares or whatever. Okay, they are crashing in with that. I am good with that. Okay, they died for playing Chalice of the Void. Good game. Yaw. 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 Activate. Crash on in. Double Exalted triggers. After no blocks. Invigorate. And Invigorate. 11 infect damage. My opponent made a bad attack. GG's. How many hierarchs is too many hierarchs? Asking for a friend. No covered island. You get a tropical island on turn 1 to play Ignoble Hierarch with Daze backup. The second Daze is kind of whatever. I'm not really excited about that. Drop the Ignoble Hierarch. My whole plan is to use Brainstorm to resculpt this hand into something more reasonable. Alright. We're chilling. Alright. Let's brainstorm. Hopefully finding a fetch land and an infect creature. Opponent says hi to YouTube. Okay. Shit got bad, folks. Shit got bad. I found no cantrip, no fetch land, no infect creature. Only hierarch. Only hierarchs. Okay. Okay. Alright. F. I'll be attacking for 2 this turn before Icefang Coatl has Death Touch, I guess. Uh oh. That's wizard cycling. We are playing against a green version of well, presumably Bant version of the Cephalid Breakfast deck. Uh, well, how many hierarchs? Get in there, little buddy. Yep, that is fine. That is occurring. It just kills one of my hierarchs. I am not using my very limited cantrips to fight over this. Not cantrips, counter magic. Oof. Uro occurs. This is more lands. 7 pieces of fucking action over there. Noted. Alright. Beep beep. In comes the ignoble hierarch. Take your 2 damage. My kingdom for a brainstorm. Yeah. More land. God, that's fucking awkward against these dazes. Here I go, taking half a card. If I don't attack this turn, maybe they get rid of the Malevolent Hermit from their graveyard. Feels like they took the blue-green show and tell gel and slotted in a Thassa's Oracle combo. Haven't seen white yet, and not a white fetch land, so it is feeling like it is just blue-green. Yeah. Am I using a daze on that? It's a flying blocker. Yes. Hate everything. Another Malevolent Hermit. Alright. That occurs. Okay. Let's get on the scoreboard here. Okay. Not the worst. Double flying blockers are a problem, though. There's a Vista. Okay, it is straight blue-green. Ah. That makes sense. My opponent casts Thassa's Oracle, and then they're going to Thought Lash their whole library. Okay, so just kind of taking a quick look here. My opponent is fully Thassa's Oracle combo with 2 copies of Uro rounding things out. Alright. Well, on Hermits make my life a little awkward. These are playable. Carpet's good. Caverns playable. Flusterstorm and Pierce are playable, as is Force of Negation. Brazen Borrower does stuff as well. I don't so much need Vines as protection. It's a pump spell. I think I'm kind of settling in for a longer fight here. House's Oracle decks are so hard to interact with. I hate that I have to respect these Icefang Coatls. Maybe that does mean keeping this. I think I like this and this. The Exalted here is, like, definitely relevant. I don't actually think Daze is, like, the best. I think I'm just going to get a little bit... Oh, I was going to board in more of those. Yes. A very fast hand. See where it goes. Just 9 infect damage on turn 2 while playing a secondary threat is real nice. If I get the 9 infect damage, Prologue 2 Phyresis, Phyrexia, Phyresis is just lethal. Oh, I guess I can attempt Prologue this turn. Oh, I hold that now. Alright. I don't know, maybe I just try to murder my opponent. Invigorate. Invigorate. There's 9 infect. I think I just play another Glistener Elf. That represents pretty easy lethal next turn. Yep. That's all fine. And now I try not to use this Force of Negation. Cavern on Snake. Understood. I think I attack in, and in response to Icefang Coatl entering play, I play this. I don't know, I could just, like, not attack, but this is an insane bluff, and if my opponent has it, I can't let them get away with it, I don't think. Yeah. Alright. Fetch. Grab black mana. And attempt Prologue. I guess I could have waited till my opponent's upkeep to do this with Force of Negation back up. Alright, we have gotten the GG there. I'm maybe not the biggest fan of Days on the draw. I can get some Vines and another Vraska's Fall in there for those. I don't know, at the same time, like, my opponent is still playing 4 mana Planeswalkers and such, right? I don't know that I want to bounce my lands, though. Auto Mulligan, I don't have any colored mana sources. I'll keep this. Force of Negation will go back here. My opponent's on 5. I'm on the draw, so I'm going to get another card to help smooth out this hand. In theory, have, 3 Infect counters banked already. Not quite how that really works, but, is 100% Tropical Island. That casts Ignoble Hierarch and allows us to cast these things. Yeah, that's fine. I will Vraska's Fall that thing away at some point. I am interested in doing this turn. The upside is so incredibly high. I think I keep these. Maybe 2 Force of Will is too much. I can reasonably see 2 Force of Will being too much right now. Yeah. Do this. Batch. I want Trop, despite the fact that it makes Crusader more awkward. Play an Ignoble Hierarch. Go ahead and make this attack. I'm very unlikely to finish my opponent with Infect damage, but gotta respect it as a kill option. That's annoying. I think it occurs. Now I have to decide whether or not I'm trading a body for one of these and then Vraska's falling the other away or not. I think I'd rather cast 2 of these in this turn cycle than take one of these out immediately. Just gets me deeper in my deck. Invigorate is cool. Again, I think I'm just going to try to get deeper. Alright. These Fangquaddles are awkward. I don't... Like, normally this would be something like a Plague Engineer in the sideboard, right? And that would give me much better coverage versus these Ice Fangquaddles here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Blocking Ice Fang could be 5. Heyo! This is very good. I'm to Blighted Agent. We'll probably Force of Will to protect if it doesn't resolve. Drop a Glistener Elf. Not interested in attacking and trading with an Ice Fangquaddle. It's just bonus damage here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10 in theory. No. Because this can just prevent damage, so absolutely not. Excellent. Have a theoretical kill on my turn now. Swing in with unblockable Blighted Agent. After no blocks, Invigorate Blighted Agent. Force of Negation. I will Brainstorm in response here. Aha. Not great. Bayou and Vraska's Fall here. Brings my opponent to 5 Infect. Drop a new Blighted Agent. Hand's not actually great here. I am out of cards, so if my opponent can combo or if they have another Thought Lash, I'm screwed. Yeah, so my opponent just starts exiling a bunch of cards to deal with that. I think this is just 3 cards from their library. Yep. Alright, they activated it 3 times. Prevent the damage, meaning my opponent doesn't actually get Infect counters. Before they draw any more cards, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I unfortunately know that my next draw is also just a dead draw. Now, Thought Lash does have a cumulative upkeep of exiling the top card of your library. Okay, they've just got the Thassa's Oracle. I'm not going to make them click through it here. GG's. You've got it. This is fine. I'm going to need to find an Infect creature. I have 2 cantrips to do that. Basic Island. Noble Hierarch is fine. I'm going to go ahead and go for Mana Acceleration over just immediately pondering here. I think the Mana Acceleration is going to bode well for me as this game goes along. If my opponent expends resources on Noble Hierarch rather than an Infect creature, that's very good. Alright. Probably settling in for a match versus a blue-white or Bant control deck list. That's fine. That's honestly not bad. Go ahead and ponder. Ooh. Play Glistener Elf this turn. That's fine. Not quite where I thought we were going, but it's fine. Grab Bayou. Cast an Elf. This is in theory 9 points of Infect damage. 4, 8, 9. But in no capacity is this guaranteed to just happen. That's so many looks at removal spells, and I'm not going to attack it to kill it. I will go ahead and force. My opponent forces pitching another Narset. Okay. It is a force of will. It is very inconvenient for me. Invigorate, target Glistener Elf. You can have some life. These are 4 either way. Invigorate, target Glistener Elf. You can have some life. That's a force. Pitching a Supreme Verdict. Pick this on Glistener Elf. It will attack my opponent for 9 infect damage. So, I have 2 lethal threats in play. My opponent currently has a single white mana showing. I have something that dodges a verdict. And any one of my Prologue to Phyresis just kills my opponent. 8 to Fairy. Sure. That leads to Inkmoth Nexus killing you next turn. You tap out for that and then don't have another instant speed piece of removal. Sure. Okay, they're at least representing it. Activate. Attack you. You've got 2 cards. Dead. Okay. These are legitimately going to be very strong here. My opponent has a bunch of Planeswalkers. I'll probably take the additional mana acceleration and carpets here. My opponent showed me Supreme Verdict, so I'm pretty interested in subbing out some Hierarchs for carpets. Need to get these 3 other cards in here. Days isn't the best. These games are going to go long. What do I want for this last slot? I just play 1 Spell Pierce. It has the similar Days problem, where it's going to get worse as the game goes on, but staying at the same number of mana accelerators, I don't know that it makes sense to go deeper on those. Yes, this hand is fine. I don't mind losing early creatures to 1-for-1 removal. Like, I probably won't force to protect the first Glistener Elf, for example. Force is much more valuable later on my Become Immense turn. Alright. Oh, no immediate removal. Ponder now. Crusader's great. I will draw that and shuffle the other stuff back. Let's just send in. Alright. There's 1. I do think I play out another creature here. Needs to be black mana. Also needs to be green mana. So my choice is made for me. I'm chilling. End of turn Brainstorm for Terminus is a thing that could happen. Yep. Going to fight over the Terminus rather than the Brainstorm here. Ooh, no Terminus. Okay, we're chilling. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I can attempt Become Immense this turn. I don't know if it makes sense to do so. Let's fetch. Grab Underground Sea. There's currently 2 mana to do. I can make it 1 mana to do if I play a Prologue. Go ahead and do this. And attempt Become Immense. Oh, Dress Down's really annoying. We'll go ahead and Force of Will that. Oh, okay. Just dead. Didn't expect that. I was wiggling for position in hopes of just riding Phyrexian Crusader to victory in a couple of turns, but didn't have more than that. Okay, I will keep this opening hand. It needs a little bit more mana. It has Brainstorm plus a draw step to find that. I think this will be okay. I don't believe that I have attacked with a Phyrexian Crusader yet. It's round 5. That is what it is. Usually means Reanimator. No. We'll daze that. I hate being set back this land drop. It's a huge deal. Makes my brainstorm so much worse. I am just supposed to pass the turn here, unfortunately. No attack. Oh. Not Reanimator. Dredge. Wrong protection colors for this matchup for sure. Oh, this is a really awkward brainstorm if I miss. Daze is out. I'll redraw it. Actually, maybe I won't. I need all 4 mana. 1, 2. Next turn, play Crusader. Following turn, have 4 mana. 2 of it is kicked vines. 4 cards in graveyard. I need the extra lands. Yeah, the daze goes on bottom. Sure. Ooh. Oh, I misidentified. Add vine. Probably Hogak version, actually. Yeah. I'm super punished for putting back that daze. Okay. 4. Sorry, 8, 12, 13, 14 next turn. Theory, but I'll absorb some of that. I just have to go for the kill on my following turn. So, Delta, Brack, Black, Green, Bayou, Crusader. This, in theory, does kill next turn, but it requires my opponent to have no blockers. Not super likely. Send them all, send them all, send them all, send them all. Damn. I don't think I have any outs here. If I keep the daze, I get set back a land drop, and I still don't know that I really win. Like, I keep the Hogak out of play for a turn. Possible for me to stay alive for 1 turn blocking Trampley, right? This is Trampley. Guess we'll see if it's possible for me to stay alive and get a Blighted Agent based kill. I don't think so. I end up having to use at least one of these defensively. Sure. Yeah, my opponent just shoves all of these and I think I'm dead. Sure. Multiple bridges. I kick vines. Take 2 from the Hogak. And I'm dead. If I become immense, Phyrexian Crusader, I trade with Hogak. Block this, I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still lethal. Dead. Okay. I have 2 graveyard hate cards. Don't really have a lot for this matchup. I'll probably play these as more finishers than as dual edicts here. I haven't done anything with Phyrexian Crusader all league. I think it just needs to come out here. My opponent has too many bodies. Glistener Elf is at least fast, and Blighted Agent is at least evasive. Gives me 2 graveyard hate cards, 2 more ways to get infect counters. I'm not super happy with my plan here. This is a keep. It goes fast. The big question is, do I just play the Glistener Elf on turn 1? I hit a land, this just does 9 points of infect on turn 2. I don't hit a land, it does 6. I think I'm trying to get a Glistener Elf hit in on turn 1 for those initial, or sorry, turn 2 for those initial points of damage. I think this matchup just gets too scary as the game goes on for me to take the turn off to play Noble Hierarch here when I have this much potential damage on turn 2. That is just going to happen. Not going to stop that this time. Alright. That is not the ideal, but I'll take it where I can get it. We'll go ahead and just Invigorate immediately and take the infect counters. There's 6 of them. In theory, I kill next turn. Carrion Feeder can't block. That resolves. My opponent is probably chump blocking with a Dryad Arbor this turn to stay alive. But they might just take some infect damage. Okay. They're going to go ahead and block. I'm fine with this damage just happening. My opponent will sack the Carrion Feeder. Right. Forgot about that part. I guess I just do this now to see if I hit a land drop. That's a useful way to finish this game. Putrid Imp. I will daze that. That card either does nothing or everything. There's a Hogak. Vengevine occurs, I'll counter Hogak, pitching the Prologue. And I assume my opponent can't attack here. Alright, drop. Blighted Agent. I kill next turn. My opponent's pretty unlikely to have interaction. Yeah, I will just take those hits. I'll eat 3 damage. Daze is cool. Attempt attack with Blighted Agent. I'm gonna go for the kill. It takes like an abrupt decay or something weird. Oh, okay. They do have Lightning Bolt. Alright, I am punished for it. Hogak was not playing Lightning Bolt last time I played it. An awkward daze target, but I will daze it. I got so punished by going for it. Take 3 damage here. Go to 12. That's about the worst possible draw in my deck. My opponent's gonna pick up the pace in terms of the clock here. Fine. Makes a Hierarch a better draw for me. I'll go ahead and do this. I draw a Hierarch that I can play out and make a good attack. I do not. Other Carrion Feeder is fine. Hogak with 1 card remaining. I mean, show me a creature that you can play. I'll force that. You die if you don't have a creature. Sure. No basic land. Cool. I don't think I'm on any outs here. Because I can't chain Phyresis thing into Phyresis thing. Block here is obligatory. Go to 2. Again, I don't think I'm on outs. There's a prologue that puts my opponent to 9 Infect, and then I die. Got punished for it, for going for it. I didn't expect interaction from my opponent, and they had it. Alright, that brings us to the end of the league here. Overall thoughts on the deck list. While this is a much better deck list than what was originally submitted to me, the weaknesses of this deck are very apparent, right? So throughout 5 rounds, I do not believe I ever connected in combat with a Phyrexian Crusader, and I think I only even cast it once. Trying to lean more into the mana acceleration to try to make this good is worse than just trying to get my opponent dead in the first place. This card was better than I expected, though. Like, it is slow. It is a neat tool to have versus a control deck, where oftentimes, like, they are willing to take all but the final chunks of damage, and then this strains their resources in an interesting way. I don't think Vraska's fall is probably reasonable. I was running into these turns where, like, I was having the choice of which one thing I wanted to do, and one of the, like, strengths of Infect is you're pretty good at multi-spelling, to the point where people will often play cards like, you know, Deafening Silence or Aethersworn Canonist against you, and this version of the deck was just, like, not great at multi-spelling. So while I would be willing to entertain the idea of an Infect deck featuring Prologue to Phyresis, I don't think I'm super interested in Phyrexian Crusader. Like, we even played against white decks, and the card did not shine. Like, the focus was just elsewhere, or the Crusader was stuck in our hand. And trying to get to the black-black for Phyrexian Crusader was definitely making my fetching awkward. So overall, I think Infect, just even an optimal build, is not necessarily a good deck in Legacy right now. Removal has just gotten so good, and interaction has gotten better over the past few years, that I'm not super excited about playing Infect. Like, I feel Initiative kind of does what Infect used to do, in that, like, you play something that very much has the possibility of killing your opponent in 2 or 3 turns. But with Initiative, you just pay 4 mana for your Seasoned Dungeoneer or Caves of Chaos Adventure, and it takes over the game on its own. Whereas with this deck, if I play 3 mana for a Phyrexian Crusader to get a kill with it, I still need a few more pump spells or a few other, you know, Ignoble Hierarch and Noble Hierarch triggers to stack up with it. So ultimately, I think brewing around like Crusader, Vraska's Fall, and Prologue gets a thumbs down from me. But this is a card that I find interesting. Again, I don't think it's better than trying to go quickly, but Maybe this isn't crazy as a sideboard option. I don't know that it's high enough of an impact as a sideboard card, though. So those are roughly my thoughts. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!